Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing on this beautiful Friday? We made it to the end of the week. We have something to be grateful for, something to be thankful for. We have to face the fact that somebody didn't make it. Somebody didn't make it to see today. But if you are under the sound of my voice, you see me. You made it. So be grateful, be thankful. Don't focus on what you don't have. Don't focus on what you wish you had. Don't waste your time trying to focus on where you want to go and you're not there. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself down. See, those are tactics that the enemy uses to steal your joy, to steal your peace. But we all have a reason to be grateful. We all have a reason to be thankful. Just inhale. Just exhale. It doesn't matter that you don't have this. It doesn't matter if you don't have that. You have life. So as long as you have life, you have an opportunity. You have another chance. Don't waste your time. This is the day that the Lord has made. We'll never see this day again. This day will never repeat itself. You will never get another chance at today if you decide, if you make the choice to waste it on things that is out of your control, things that you can't change, things that you can't fix, things that you can't turn around. There's just certain things that only God can do. But we find ourselves beating ourselves up, beating ourselves down because of what someone else says, because of the other voices. Sometimes we have to get to the place where we have to shut it off. We have to shut it down. So with that being said, I am here to read the end of the week devotional, created in God's image, not my image, not your image, not your parents' image, not your children's image, not your friend's image, not your neighbor's image, not your pastor's image, not your first lady's image. It said God's image. Now, if you've made those people your gods, then it is what it is. But it said created in God's image. Who are you looking like today? Who are you talking like today? Who are you showing up like today? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question. Who are you imaging today? No judgment. And if you have to take a step back and say, you know what? I have been imaging other gods. I have been imaging other people. I have been imaging other things. But Lord, forgive me and help me to get on track, back on track. No judgment, no condemnation. Don't condemn yourself. And the reference scripture can be found in Genesis 1:26. Genesis 1:26, and it reads as follows. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image. Then God said, I'm going to read it again, let us make mankind in our image. It didn't have your name there. It didn't have my name there. Genesis 1:26. I'm going to read it first out of my study Bible to break it down, to make it a little bit clear for those that don't understand that you don't have to image anyone else. You don't have to be like anybody else. You don't have to walk like anybody else. You don't have to talk like anybody else. You don't have to show up like anybody else. You don't have to eat like anybody else. Just be you. Just be who God created you to be. He made you unique. He made you different. He made you an original. And when you show up as someone else other than who he created you to be, he don't know who you are. He said, wait a minute. I didn't create you to be like that. I didn't create you to do that. I need you to go back and come. I need you to go and then I need you to come back. But I need you to come back as being the person that I created. Because you have now allowed other things, you have allowed other people to create you in their image. And I don't recognize what someone else has created. I only recognize what I have created. Oh, I know ain't nobody gonna be honest and said they're not their authentic self. They being what mom and dad said that they should be. They being what sister brother said that they should be. They being what the world said that they should be. We would be much happier and much freer. We wouldn't be in competition with one another. We wouldn't be, you know what I'm saying, if we was really walking in our authentic self. But because we have been programmed to look like this and to look like that and to move like this and to eat like that, we don't even know who we are. He said, I created you in my image. I don't even know who you are. My Lord, let me read this. Why does God use this plural form? No, that's not the one I want to read. This is the one. In what ways are we made in God's image? Question mark. God obviously did not create us exactly like himself because God has no physical body. Instead, we are reflection of God's glory. Some feel that our reason, creativity, speech, our self-determination is an image of God. More likely, it is our entire self that reflects the image of God. We will never be totally like God, so stop trying. Stop trying to be perfect. You'll never be perfect. Why? You wasn't created to be perfect. You was created to be perfected. Oh, I know there's some people think that they've made the mark. I know that there's some people think that they're Jesus. I'm going to go a step further. There's some people think that they're God. They want everybody to look like them. But you was an image of the real God, not things that you have made your God. Because he is our supreme creator. But we do have the ability to reflect his character in our love, patience, forgiveness, something that you don't see, kindness, that's been thrown out the window, and faithfulness. You can forget about that. Nobody wants to be faithful about anything. If they're not benefiting, they're not going to be faithful. Knowing that we are made in God's image and thus share many of his characteristics provides a solid basis of self-worth. Human worth is not based on possession. Let me read that again, because I know there's people sitting in the back. I know you probably was conversating with your neighbor. You probably had your AirPods in or your earphones on. So let me read that again, because we have got this thing twisted. Human worth is not, hear me well, human worth is not based on your possessions and achievements, physical attractiveness. Oh Lord, that's a big one there. Sometime, I don't know where that comes from, but we will devalue ourselves if we don't have the long silky hair, if we don't have the Coca-Cola body, if we not sitting with a 45, 46 double D, if we don't have the flat stomach, if we don't have the pulled in waistline, if we don't have the right skin tone, we'll begin to feel like we're not attractive. We begin to feel like we're not good enough. We'll begin to lower our standard because we don't look like the world said we should look. That does not determine human worth, human value. We got this thing all twisted. Or public acclaim. We look for the public to tell us if we're worthy. We look for the world to tell us if we're good enough. We look for the world to tell us if we can make it, if we can be somebody. We look for the world to tell us that. But the only way the world gonna be able to tell you that is when you allow the world to become your God. Because your God is now dictating and telling you who you will be, who you won't be, who you'll become, who you won't become, what you can do, what you won't be able to do. My Lord. Instead, it is based on being made in God's image. Because we bear God's image, we can feel positive about ourselves. Criticizing or downgrading ourselves is criticizing what God has made and the ability He has given us. So we have to be very careful that when you start devaluing yourself, when you start looking at yourself from the image and the eyes of others in the world, you are saying, God, what you created me to be is not good enough. You made some mistakes. My eyes is small. My nose is too big. My lips is too thin. My breast is too small. My waistline is not thin enough. My backside is not round enough. You start criticizing. You start picking yourself apart. Not understanding. You're telling God you made some mistakes. I don't look like Sally. I don't look like Samantha. I don't look like Carmen. I don't look like Michelle. And you're not embracing who God created you to be. You're not satisfied with who God created you to be. Knowing that you are a person of worth helps you love God, know Him personally, and make a valuable contribution to those around you. When you learn to embrace you, when you learn to love you, you are then able to contribute authentic characteristics. People can benefit from the authentic you. People can't benefit you when you showing up as somebody else. But when you just show up being who you are, in natural form, in rare form, beautifully, wonderfully made, in God's image, who He wanted you to be, what He thought about you, what He put on the inside of you. When you can just love you enough to say, you know what, I'm going to be me this morning. I don't feel like being nobody else. I don't feel like being like nobody else. I don't feel like doing what nobody else is doing. That's the greatest feeling of them all. Let me tell you something. Anybody know me, I'm a plain Jane. I don't get into this. I don't get into that. I don't do much of this and I don't do much of that. And I'm not against those that do. So hear me well. I don't need nobody coming on here. We're not going to have no dialogue. I'm talking about me. And I've never been this person. Well, let me phrase it this way. I see people and sometimes they're so made up. I've seen them so made up. I didn't even know who they was, and you're saying, Yolanda, you know, I'm being honest. I'm being honest. I'm being real and I'm being authentic. I don't know the reason why. It's not my business to know the reason why. But I seen one individual, they were so made up, I didn't even know who they was. And this person said, that's such and such and so and so. I'm like, are you sure? They said, yeah, that's, I was blown away. I didn't know who it was. And I don't know the reason why. Because the individual, in my opinion, don't really need it. But for some reason, they feel they need it or they just enjoy it. And I said, Lord, I couldn't imagine waking up every day doing that. But I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm talking about me. I said, I couldn't imagine getting up doing that every day. So the other day I was at work, you know, I'm not looking my best. I'm not even feeling my best. But I'm there and I'm doing my job. And this customer was walking by, but I can see he was coming close to my lane, and so I'm like, well, where is he going? Because he's going the opposite way. Well, he's on the opposite side of needing to be checked out. But I noticed he was getting closer. And then he come right up to the lane. He said, Miss, you have such a beautiful face. You got such a glow. He said, in your hair, your eyebrows, and I'm thinking, I started to look around because I just knew he was talking about somebody else. I wasn't made up. The little gloss I had on, it had done dried up. And I'm thinking, so Lord, it's okay to be you. It's okay to be authentic. It's okay to just show up as you are. It's okay. Somebody will notice it. Somebody will see it. Somebody will acknowledge it. I couldn't believe it. Because when you're not feeling your best, oftentimes you're not looking your best either. But I thank God that he was able to just see natural beauty in its rare form, because baby, it was rare. It was raw. I didn't have on a wig. I didn't have on no makeup. I can't figure out how to do those lashes. Where they stay on. Because I have problems with my eyes. My eyes itch a lot. So a lot of that stuff I can't even wear. And so I said, well, Lord, people do appreciate raw and rare. They do appreciate just being authentic. They do. I'm talking about this was a man. Because I'm thinking most time men want you with all that on. And again, I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. Do you, boo? But I often thought that's what men look for. That's what they desire. And some men do. Don't get me wrong. Some men, they don't mind that. And like I said, I don't mind it either. But to see someone say, you have a beautiful face, and I don't have on lashes, and I don't have on a wig, I don't have on foundation so thick till you don't even know who I am. But just to be able to be raw, just to be able to be pure, just to be able to just be me. And it was noticed. It was acknowledged. It was recognized. It was called out. He said, keep being you. That's not the only time. That has happened to me 2 or 3 times. And I said, well, Lord, you're trying to tell me something. Because sometimes I've often wondered, Lord, what's wrong with me? How come I don't desire this and I don't desire that? What's wrong with me? He said, you're perfect just the way you are. Embrace who you are. And whoever will see it and acknowledge it, that's all you need. You don't need to be like anybody else. You don't need to do what everybody else is doing. There's nothing wrong with being different. Child, the other day I came and I had them braids in. Well, I mean, they... Anyway, we ain't gonna get into that. You know us women, when we go to having one of them days, give me a turban, give me a scarf, give me a bonnet, etc., etc. Yeah, this is definitely one of those days. But I'm going to get there. Just keep praying for me. I'm going to get there. I'm thinking about locking my hair. I think that's the direction that I'm wanting to go in. And so to God be all the glory. But let me get to this devotional. Again, created in God's image. Science often tells us that human beings have evolved from primates. Primates, I don't really know, Primates. But God says that we were created in his image. Knowing that God created you to be like him, that he created you because he wanted you, and that you are not merely an ancient makes a big difference in the way you feel about yourself. Having God-given confidence in who he has created you to be is important to your own enjoyment of life. If you don't enjoy who you are, if you don't embrace who you are, if you're not loving who you are, you're not going to enjoy life, because you're going to be forever comparing yourself against Sally, against Michelle, against Susie, against Samantha, against Shirley, against Jonathan, against John, against Josiah. You're going to be forever comparing yourself, and you'll never fully be able to enjoy life and God's plan for his kingdom. You have to be authentic in order to, for God to be able to use you for his plan. He created you to be different. One of the biggest problems troubled and unhappy people have is that they don't like themselves. When you don't like yourself, when you look at yourself and you see an image of who you want to be, who you want to look like, you can never enjoy who you are. And when you start cutting on yourself, removing stuff, adding stuff, you're telling God you did something wrong. Why don't I have this? Why didn't you give me that? He's saying the way I created you is where I needed you to be for my plan and for my purpose. Now, you want him to use what you have decided you wanted to create. Now you're the creator of yourself. Let me continue to read. They feel they have no purpose or value, but that is completely untrue. God carefully created each of us with his own hand in our mother's womb. Psalms 139:13. You are special. You're one of a kind, amazing person, and God loves you unconditionally. Mean he is satisfied how he created you. He stood back and he said, she's finished. He's finished. I don't need to add anything else. I don't need to remove anything else. They're finished. I'm completely satisfied. So if the Creator is satisfied, who are we to not be satisfied? Think about that. Put that on Soap Cycle. God loves you unconditionally. He has you on his mind all the time. And every plan he has for you is good. Learn to see yourself as God sees you. Talk about yourself the way God talks about you. Stop allowing the other voices. Stop allowing yourself to beat yourself down, to condemn yourself. You are who God created you to be. And everything is how God wanted it to be. Big, small, little, large, whatever. He created you to be that way. Now, can we do some alterations when we begin to overly indulge in something, such as food? Absolutely we can. But that body will start reacting to the choices that we're making. And then what you do then is you say, yeah, I gotta I got to cut back. I got to start doing things a little bit different, because your body will let you know you're doing too much. You putting on too much. You weigh too much. But then there's things that you can do to get yourself back down to where God created you to be, the right weight, the right size, the right figure. Love who you are. We don't always do the right thing, but we are always loved by God. And we can enjoy ourselves where we are on the way to becoming more and more like Jesus. Enjoy where you are. Be okay where you are. Accept where you are. Love where you are. Why? Because he said it is finished. He says, I'm well pleased. When the Creator stepped back and said it's finished. Oh, you know when you have accomplished something and you stand back and you look at it and you say, boy, I did that. I put my foot in that. Well, that's how God felt when he created you and I. He said, man, I did that. I put my foot in that. I brought everything I had to make that, to create that. And then we come along, it's not good enough. You should have put this over here. You should have put that over there. Why do I have freckles? Why do I have small eyes? Why do I have big ears? Maybe because he wanted you to hear more than you talk. You know, there's a reason for everything. But because society says, you don't look like this one, you don't look like that one. You don't have the shape like this one. You're not made up like that one. You're not good enough. You're not going to be accepted. So when you start to feel that you're not accepted, you start not to love yourself. So now you're seeing ways, you're trying to figure out ways to alter yourself, to change yourself. And you will never be pleased until you be who God created you to be. Until you fully love and embrace who God created you to be. You said, well, Yolanda, you don't understand. I'm short and I have trouble reaching this and I have trouble reaching that. There's solutions for that. They make things small now. They make stools to lift you up. But embrace it. There's a reason for it. Because if you're small, you're not too far from getting on your knees. There's a reason for everything. We don't have to make everything so drastic and dramatic. You know, we some dramatic folks. Lord help us. We can be so dramatic sometimes over nothing. Let me do this. Oh, Lord help me. Let me get this prayer and I'm out of here. Father, I love you. I am thankful that you created me in your image. Not my image, not my friend's image, not my spouse's image, not my children's image, but your image. And that you love me. Help me see myself the way you see me and to be confident in you. Be confident in knowing that how God chose to create you, it was good enough for him. It was good enough for his purpose. It was good enough for his plan, which is going to make it good for his kingdom. But you want to show up as your authentic self. You want him to recognize who you are. You don't want him to say, who are you? Wait a minute, where'd that come from? I didn't put that there. Learn to love yourself. Because you are wonderfully made. And you was made in the image of God. When he made you, he made a masterpiece. When he made you to be who he needed you to be. And he stepped back. He said, I'm well pleased. I'm satisfied. I'm good. I don't need to add anything else. I don't need to remove anything else. This came out perfect. She came out perfect. He came out perfect. It's like being on an assembly line, if you've ever worked one. And if you are an inspector, you'll pick up a part. And if it's got anything that shouldn't be, any fragments, any discoloration, whatever it may be, when it's good, what you do? You allow it to go on down the line. But when it has some imperfection, you look at it and what you do? You toss it. Because it needs to go down the line again. It needs to go back through that process again before it can make the line again. You made the line. I made the line. And he said, this is perfect. I molded that just right. I did that just right. It has everything it needs. It is finished. I don't need to do anything else. You're good enough just the way you are. You are okay just the way you are. You don't need to look like anybody else. You don't need to do what nobody else is doing. Thin hair, short hair, long hair, bald head. You are okay just the way you are. Thick, thin, Coca-Cola bottle. You are okay just the way you are. If you need to, make some changes, you know what you need to do. The body will tell you, wait a minute here. If you want me to continue to carry you, we got to work together. We got to make some changes. But you don't have to beat yourself up and beat yourself down and try to look like anyone else. Because I'm going to tell you, once you get there, you'll never be happy. You'll never be pleased. You'll start changing other stuff. You'll start removing other stuff. Love yourself. Be okay with yourself. If God was pleased, if he said it is finished, if it was good enough for him, it should be good enough for you and I. I pray that something was said that will cause you to examine yourself. I pray that this devotional, that it just met you right where it needed to meet you at. And you said, well, Yolanda, I've body shamed myself. People have talked about me. They've said I'm too big. They said I'm too small. They said I'm too thin. They said my waistline is too wide. They said my waistline is too thin. They said my ears is too big. They just said, they said this and they said that. So I began to put myself down. I won't even look at myself in the mirror. I just don't like myself. Well, God said he's pleased. He said he's okay with it. He said he can work with it. You was created in his image. You no longer have to live up to anyone else's expectation of who you should be. Speak life. Speak life. Speak life. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, no matter what it appears to be, speak life anyway. Because when you speak life, that's your seed that you are planting. God gives the increase, and your faith is your water. Plant good seed. The soil was already good. He said, look at you. You turned out just how I needed you to turn out. So the soil is good. But what seed are you planting? Is the seed good? Is it worthy to be watered? Be mindful of the seed that you plant in your life, because that's what you will harvest. So with that being said, speak life over yourself. Don't leave yourself out. So many of us, we leave ourselves out. But include yourself. Speak life over yourself, your friends, your foes, those that pushed you aside, those that gave up on you, those that said that you'll never amount to anything. Matter of fact, they said you'll never even go anywhere. They said you'll never make it out. Why? Because you don't image them. You don't look like them. You're not showing up like them. You don't have a degree like them. You don't have a certificate like them. You're not made up like them. You don't have a shape like them. You're not living like them. So they gave up on you. They said that you would never make it. But just remember, you wasn't created in the image of them. You was created in the image of the one that created you. Until next time, have an awesome day. Don't allow anything or anyone, not even yourself, to steal your joy, to take your peace. I don't care what you have to do, even if you have to remove yourself, even if you have to let some things go, even if you have to walk away from something. Don't let nothing disturb your peace. You are in control. Hit that reset button and say, look, I got to start this thing all over again. The devil is a liar. And just start all over again. Have a safe weekend. Until next time, thanks for hopping on. Thanks for hanging in there. Sometimes I can get long-winded, but that's okay. Long someone is being affected and they're getting something out of what's being said, that blesses my heart, that blesses my soul, that blesses my spirit. Because I want to see us all win. I want to see us all make it. I want to see us all be happy. I want to see us all in peace. I want to see us all accepting ourselves for who we was created to be. So with that being said, thanks again. Thanks for coming all the way in the room. Thanks for sticking your head in and said, Lord, it's Friday. And she made it yet again. You absolutely right. I'm here again. And I thank you for continually to stop by and check and see if I'm here. And thanks to those that will come on after. I thank God for you. It means more than you know. Thank you, TT. That's my faithful one. She's going to show up no matter what. I thank God for you. I pray that you have an amazing day. And I pray that you have an amazing day on purpose. No matter what you may be going through, no matter what you may be facing, I don't need to know. God knows. Take it to Him. Give it to Him. Cast it to Him. Why? Because He said He cares for you. He cares for you. He can bring you out. He can bring you through. So with that being said, keep me in your prayers. I need your prayers. I can use your prayers. I'm not ashamed of prayer. I don't run from prayer. I need prayer. So until next time, everyone have an awesome day on purpose.